Hello everybody, welcome to the Empressive channel. T.I. and Tiny were on another episode of Jada Pinkett Smith's show, Red Table Talk. The last episode, they did address T.I.'s controversial comments about taking his daughter to the gynecologist for virginity checks, and T.I. did backpedal on his original statements and said that he didn't mean what he said, but a lot of people weren't buying it, and his comments did even prompt New York legislators to push for a ban against hymen checks, thanks to T.I. Anyway, let me talk about this recent episode that T.I. and Tiny did on Red Table Talk. They talked about their very complex relationship, and I have to say, while I was watching this episode, I was just a little bit annoyed because T.I. has this arrogance about him where he always feels like he's right. And even when Tiny was trying to express herself, he had this smug look on his face and he was always ready to interject. And I wasn't feeling that at all, but honestly, I didn't expect anything different because T.I. doesn't really respect Tiny's opinions and he doesn't really allow her to have her own voice. I remember when Tiny went on T.I.'s podcast and it was painful to watch T.I. constantly interrupt Tiny and downplay her opinions. But T.I. is used to doing this and he has been doing this a lot throughout their marriage. Now, Tiny did reveal that when T.I. got out of jail the first time, she started discovering her own voice and she wanted to work, but T.I. wouldn't allow her to work, and unfortunately that was the trade-off. T.I. wanted Tiny to stay home while he brought in the money, and Tiny agreed to it, but little did Tiny know this was T.I.'s way of controlling her and controlling the relationship. Now, when Tiny finally put her foot down, T.I. decided to cheat on her with a more docile woman.
And me just coming back and not being in the position that I was in, it left me feeling lesser than. So I had to go and figure out ways to make myself feel proper and adequate again. And that led to things that led to things that led to things because of the fire.
I understand.
Oh,
I
okay,
get that.
but
You had your say.
I
Have
got a lot more to say.
Get on in there, get on in there.
What he's trying to say is I went and I found my own voice. He was used to saying, okay, no, we're doing this, we're moving this way, and I'd be like, oh, okay. But when he came home, he'd say, we're moving this way, and I'd be like, well, no, I got this to do. And he's like, well, that's not the way. You know, it wasn't what he was used to. He was used to controlling things.
Wait a minute.
And, well, having things his way at all times. The issue wasn't because I'm just being outlandishly disrespectful, because if you recall, you could not move, you cannot go anywhere. I was still in the house, like I was on probation, doing all the things. But because I had a voice that was not so timid, like to me, this is my outlook. This is my outlook on it. I feel like he felt like it's not the woman I left, and this is not what I want. I want somebody that if I tell her this, she's gonna listen and she's gonna do this the way I want her to do it. And that's what he went. He went and found him somebody that he can be like, hey, don't move. Come in, this, do that. And then I was not. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
When you have a man that says, don't work, don't this, I want to do this, I want to take care of everything, there's something hidden behind that. To me, I feel like when a man wants to, they want to be your all, your in and all, you know, your be all, then that means you have less of a chance to say, I'm moving this way. So for a long time, because you didn't want me to work, I pretty much gave up, you know, not trying to sing anymore, not trying to do anything.
I never stopped an Escape album.
No, excuse me. There was no escape, but you know there was other things that I wanted to do in music. And you asked me to not work, and you was gonna take care. I said, well, I got my mama doing this, I'm gonna take care of all that. And he did.
Right.
He did.
And so you agreed. That was a consent. That was consent.
I know, but sometimes when you agree to something, then you realize that it doesn't really work for you.
And it didn't work for Tiny for quite a while, but she still stayed with T.I. And while she stayed with him, T.I. was cheating on her with multiple women, including the Instagram model Bernice Burgos and also one of her employees.
Excuse me, but you were with the girl that you met through me. For those who don't understand, Tip had some infidelities with a girl who I hired, and that girl is one of the reasons why I got my own house.
After this mess, Tiny was really at a point where she wanted to leave T.I. because she was tired of the cheating and she was tired of being accused of cheating when she never cheated on him ever. But Tiny said she decided to stay with T.I. because she saw some change in him. But unfortunately, he cheated on her again with the actress Asia Epperson from the show Greenleaf, allegedly. So this has been an ongoing cycle between T.I. and Tiny, and I do wish Tiny understood her self-worth, but it seems like she doesn't believe she could find somebody better than T.I., which is why she's been putting up with him for so many years. And her tolerance to his behavior has caused him to get away with disrespecting her. And he likes that. This is why T.I. will never leave Tiny, because he knows that no other woman would be able to put up with a man like him besides his wife Tiny. And also T.I. said that Tiny was his best friend and his best lover and everything. So he's stuck for life, but he's mainly gonna stick around because Tiny tolerates his BS.
But I can tell everybody how great it's been to spend the last 9 years with such a tolerant woman. I will say she is very tolerant, not very patient, but she is very tolerant and accepting of who I am within my transition.
Child, anyway, I have nothing more to say about T.I. and Tiny's relationship. It's messy, it's toxic, but guess what? They like it. So it is what it is. Anyway, I want to move on and talk about another topic that I found very interesting, and it's about the rapper Noname, also known as Noname Gypsy. Noname recently went on a rant on Twitter expressing her disappointment that she didn't see enough black people at her shows. And she did get a lot of backlash for this, which caused her to delete her tweets. But the Neighborhood Talk 2 on Instagram was able to take a screenshot of what she said. She tweeted this: "Me consistently creating content that is primarily consumed by a white audience who would rather take a dump on me than challenge their liberalism because somehow liking Lizzo's music absolves them of racist tendencies. Y'all really pushing the idea that black people can't come to my shows because of Black Death and financial restraint, as if the Baby, Megan, and Smino shows ain't black as heck. Say you don't like my stuff and move around. What's funny is most black artists are just as uncomfortable performing for majority white crowds, but would never publicly say that out of fear and allegiance to the dollar, which is not a bad thing necessarily, cause people gotta eat. But y'all wouldn't be up in arms if I quit working at McDonald's." And somebody said, "I feel like the black demographic that likes your music isn't really the concert going type, speaking from my own perspective, and that's why you see white folks at your shows so much more. We ought to do better though." And she said, "That's real. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna keep performing for predominantly white crowds. I have 2 shows on the books, then after that I'm chilling on making music. If y'all don't wanna leave the crib, I feel it. I don't want to dance on stage for white people." Now, I have some mixed feelings about this. I think Noname should be a little bit careful when it comes to expressing what she feels, especially if she's gonna offend the people who put money in her pockets. And that's not to say she should sell out for the dollar, but just be mindful of how the message is gonna come across. People are accusing her of being racist now, and I don't think she was being racist at all. She was just keeping it real. But for her to say that she didn't want to perform for white crowds anymore, it's kind of a slap in the face to the white people who have genuinely been supporting her. I understand that she's a black woman and she makes music from a black perspective, and she wants to see more black people at her shows, but they aren't showing up. And the reason why most black people aren't really hip to her is because they don't know who she is. And this is probably her real issue. I think her main frustration stems from the fact that she's not connecting to the black audience. And it's unfortunate because Noname is very talented. I first found out about her through Chance the Rapper, and since then I have been listening to her music here and there. I really like her mixtape Telephone, and I also got a chance to listen to Room 25, and it's a very unique album. I think Noname's whole style of rap is very unique. She's poetic, and it's almost like she's doing rhythmic spoken word. That's kind of what I get when I hear her rap, and of course her music is a different blend of hip-hop and neo-soul and some other genres, but overall I think Noname is a talented, unique artist, but unfortunately her style doesn't really resonate with the younger black hip-hop audience today. And also another thing to note is she is an independent artist, so she doesn't have any mainstream backing whatsoever. And that's another reason why she's not really well known, especially among the Black audience. Also, another complex layer to this is her image. She's a dark-skinned girl in the music industry, and we all know that colorism is very prevalent, and there's a certain look that she has to have to be more embraced. And I think this is the root of her frustration. She's a Black artist who makes Black music. I mean, most Black people can listen to it and relate, but the people who actually support her music and pay to see her in concert are white people. And it's kind of awkward for her because she doesn't feel that connection or familiarity with her audience. But at the same time, these are her supporters, and I don't think she should alienate them because they're white. But on the flip side, I do kind of understand where she's coming from. And she's not the only artist who has felt this way. Lauryn Hill shared the same sentiments in the past, and also Lizzo talked about how grateful she was to finally connect with the Black audience, because for the longest time, her following was mostly white, and nothing's wrong with that, but as a Black person, there's a sense of pride when your own people really rock with you. It feels good. Just the other day, I went to see Fantasia in concert, and just to see the show she put on and the energy she received, it was just amazing, and most of the people in the arena were Black. So I do understand why it's important for a Black artist to have that connection to their own people. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with non-Black people supporting Black artists either. Anyway, tell me what you all think about this down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you care. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!